So many games, yet I don't know what to play. It's a common occurrence. Vegas stakes. I work in a casino, so why not study up on some of these games and see how well I do? Vegas stakes is a game in which you bring $10,000 to one of 5 casinos and attempt to hit it big. Once you start a new game, you and 4 friends are driving to Vegas, talking about the dreams of making lots of money. The scene itself looks interesting enough, although I got a chuckle because due to the angle of the scene, it looks like your vehicle is driving around in wide circles. The goal of the game is simple: win $10 million. When you arrive in Vegas, you get to choose which one of your friends you want to accompany you. To my knowledge, there's not any differences between them. Or is there? I did find a few different things happen when I had specific characters as my assistant, but I'll get to that in a bit. You start at the Golden Palace, but you can opt to leave this casino and try to go to one of the others. At the start, there's 4 of them available, each with different betting odds. Each casino has the same 5 games available: Blackjack, slots, Roulette, craps, and 7-card stud poker. I found it odd that Baccarat wasn't an option, but perhaps it wasn't as big in 1993 when this game was released as it is now. I don't know. Each game plays out accurately to the real-world versions, at least as far as I can tell. Having a background knowledge in these games would definitely be beneficial to your success, but if you have no idea what you're doing, by hitting select you can choose to review the rules and payouts for each game. It's a nice little thing that the developers added to allow Vegas stakes to be accessible to the rookie and the professional equally. I'll talk about every game for a short bit. Blackjack is a simple card game where you aim to get 21. Face cards count as 10, aces are 1 or 11, and if you go over 21 you lose. If you can beat the dealer, you win. Get 21 in your first 2 cards, and you get Blackjack, which is a payment of 1.5 times your original bet. You're given 2 cards and can decide to get cards one at a time or stand. Blackjack is one of the few casino games I know how to play, and I thought I would do well, but I actually kind of struggled here. I felt like no matter how good of a hand that I got, the dealer got a better hand anyway. I will say that I don't know if the decks get shuffled after a certain amount of hands or not, so I can't say how rigged the game is, but I still had a bit of enjoyment out of it. Again, because I know how to play Blackjack. Next up are slots. Disappointingly, there's only one type of slot machine that you'll run into, even at the different casinos. The only thing that changes are the amount of bets you can place on each reel. Each machine can be played on up to 5 lines. I've never found slot machines to be particularly interesting, and this one doesn't help my mentality either. Perhaps the annoying sound that plays when the reels spin didn't help matters either. Roulette is the 3rd game, and it's another one that I understand how to play. I've never been particularly good at it, but you simply guess on the number that the ball is going to land on. You can bet on the number, 2 number splits, columns of 3, 6, or 12 numbers, what color it's going to land on, and so on. If you can pick the exact number, you get more money as opposed to, say, guessing the color. When playing the game, I did make some money playing Roulette, but not a ton. I did enjoy watching the Mode 7 effects of the wheel spinning. It's the simple stuff that matters. 7-card stud is another easy game to learn if you know anything about poker hand rankings. Basically, you put in an initial ante. First 2 cards are face down, the next 4 cards are face up, and the final card is face down. You make bets in between each round or decide to fold. Again, I made some money playing this as I've always liked the stud versions of poker over Texas Hold'em. Finally, we have craps. I can't explain this one because I really can't understand how craps is played. When playing craps in the game, I just guessed on bets and made them randomly, but all I know is 2 dice are thrown, and depending on what the results are, determines what gets paid and what bets can be placed afterwards. You can use the tutorial to explain each and every bet available in craps, so that's cool if you're determined to learn the game. So we have 5 games of chance available, and each is competently programmed. However, the one thing that I've noticed is that, with the exception of poker, there are no other players at the tables. For the slot machines, I can understand this, but for roulette, craps, and blackjack, it would have been cool to see some other players betting on the games, or maybe at least make it optional that you can have other players gambling with you. As I mentioned, you do have 5 different casinos that you can visit, but the 5th one is locked until you have a bankroll of $100,000. Once you do, you're told that you are given a new hotel room at the Crystal Palace, and you'll find that here, the minimum bets are $1,000 for each game, with no maximum betting limit. If you ever drop below that $100,000, then you are kicked out of that hotel room and moved back to the original casino. Normally, I would probably call it a review here because, let's face it, it's a casino game. How much can I really talk about? But there is some more fun stuff that you can encounter that makes Vegas Stakes a bit above average. There are random events that occur at times, in which you get to decide an outcome. My first friend, as I was playing Blackjack, literally as the first hand got dealt, found a wallet with $1,000 in it. You have the option of keeping the money like a common crook, or turn it in like the moral person you should be. If you turn it in, you might get approached by the owner, who thanks you for turning it in, and possibly even gives you money that they won for their appreciation. You do need to be careful though. There are people that will try to scam you. You might get someone that wants to watch you play because they say they're down in their luck and want to see your strategy, and then when they leave they bump into you and steal your money. There's a common event in which a stranger approaches you telling that you have a spot on your shirt. Little weird, but okay. They can wipe it off and then give you a lottery ticket, or they'll pickpocket you. I've won $10,000 on lottery tickets, so this is a good outcome for a risk that you can take. There's also someone that's trying to pawn off a diamond on you because they need money. At first, they say it was appraised for $5,000, but I've already talked them down to buying it for less than $1,000 and then selling it off for $10,000. The risk to this is that someone may tell you that it was a fake and you just lost all that money. At this point, though, $1,000 wasn't a big deal to me. The pickpockets, though, the one time I did get pickpocketed, I found out I lost over $100,000 because they allegedly took it out of my pocket. I was a bit upset, as who carries $100,000 in their freaking pocket? I was also a lot more leery about being a good person in my choices, as it only takes one bad apple for me to lose trust in everyone. Back to what I said about your buddies. I don't think that there's a real difference between the four, but I did notice that when I had one of the two ladies with me, events seemed to happen a bit more frequently. I personally think it might have been coincidental, but I don't know. Maybe that's actually how the game was developed. Vegas Stakes proved to be more fun than I had expected. I had figured I would have played it for about an hour and then put it back on the shelf for a quick 5-minute review, but I found I couldn't stop playing because I wanted to see all the weird events that would come up. I mean, me attempting to learn craps was probably an hour in itself, but if you're a fan of casino games and have an SNES laying around, Vegas Stakes isn't a bad option. I got a boxed copy for about $15, so if you're cool with a cart-only copy, you can get it for dirt cheap. Check it out to itch that gambling bug. Final score? 5 out of 7. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.